10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2.
And hello, drag racing fan. If you would be so kind, do as I just did. Hit the like button and hit the share button right here on the Power Hour, which is live. Dujanay Bland is over there. I'm Lee Kraft, a.k.a. the Monday Morning Racer, and we're ready to dive in about drag racing once again. And drag racing, Dujanay, is at full song. It seems like everything has fired up and is rolling from NHRA, No Prep King, Southeast Gassers Association, Funny Car Chaos, all of it. It is at full song and revving things out as high as they can.
Yeah, we had MPK at Maple Grove this weekend. Like the division, I think it was Division 7 was going on. Like so much stuff. It's wide open right now.
It is. It is. And we've got 4Y drag racing at ZMAX Dragway it's technically Concord. People say Charlotte. Yes, it is technically Concord. It's okay to say Charlotte, though. That's the main principal city. It's okay. And, I had an interesting little back and forth, not a negative one, but someone noticed the footage that I collected at Brainerd Motorsports Park, not Brainerd International Raceway. And they're like, where's this one? What's going on here? And I had to explain, this one's in Georgia. This one's not in Minnesota. And, right. You can't have multiple names. You got it, Motorsports Park, International Raceway. There's distinctions there.
That's right. Definitely differences. Got to pay attention to the name.
Or you can just be ZMAX Dragway and nobody's going to have that name except for that place.
Right. That's unique.
It is. Well, we got Camry Caruso in the green room. We also got Jeff Taylor. Jeff, hope you're doing well. You're going to be the second guest, so just hang out, man, okay? We'll get to you after Camry. We're looking forward to talking to her and get an update from her and what the outlook on her season does look like. And then we'll talk with Jeff. Jeff's got 50 national event wins, competition eliminator, and doing it in a class within the NHRA that – it's a bit hard to understand, but once you unlock it and understand it, what a great form of drag racing eliminator is, competition eliminator.
Yeah, that's going to be fun. And as interesting, and it seems to be, to me, it's hard in that class. And to have 50 of those things, that's pretty incredible.
I agree. It is incredible. And also, Roger Brogdon and so many others have stepped up, and there's a lot of money on the line for those guys. We're talking $750,000 if you hit all the numbers right within competition. It is certainly a fabulous program, and a lot of people can earn the bucks in drag racing outside of the professional categories in competition eliminator. That is a cool thing to see for sure. Well, Dujanay, let's take that first break, and then we'll get our first guest on, Camry Caruso, tonight. Thank you, Weldon High Performance, for the pumps you make and for pumping this show up. The Power Hour, brought to you by Weldon High Performance. Camry Caruso, certainly no stranger to the Power Hour. We're glad to have you on once again, young lady. But your 2024 has been, quite interesting to start off.
It's been very interesting, to say the least. Good, bad, and different. We've had a mix of everything this season.
So I've kind of had my theory of what happened here.
Yeah, you and everybody else.
To me, it seemed like maybe the throttle got hung open, and when you hit the brake, it locked the wheels up. Like, it was just bizarre. Like, what exactly happened in that incident?
Honestly, to be completely honest with you, like the engine was off after I crossed the finish line. I made the run. We didn't make it down as everybody saw. I
Yeah.
crossed at like 890 at 142, which those cars are capable of 210. So clearly not a full run. Went through the finish line, wasn't was slowing down because I didn't make a full run, hit a bump. Unfortunately, the car came up, and when it hit a bump and I was on the brake. So unfortunately, when the car got air, it got them really hot. They came down, locked up, and into the wall we went. And like Dallas honestly worded it perfectly in your guys's Competition Plus's article. Jason Line had the same incident happen to him.
That's right.
A couple years back. I don't remember the year, but it's honestly a perfect storm. You hit a bump, you're slowing down normally, you don't even make a full run, and it turns bad. So unfortunately, it was the perfect storm. It sucked. It's unfortunate. It was a new car. So unfortunately, it is what it is, and that track is really bumpy as soon as you cross the finish line, and it just upsets the cars. I know for a fact that a lot of people were harder on the brakes that didn't hit the wall, like that were in different lanes and stuff. So when you just get air and you hit the wall, it locks them up.
All right. Well, there we have it. That's what happened. That's what occurred. Now,
if people think that the throttle hung after I hit the first wall, the engine was off when I hit the first wall.
Okay. I thought it sounded, maybe we were hearing something else then, because it sounded like the engine was like still kind of like at idle, but it was like it was trying to pick up speed, but it wasn't you.
So honestly, like, and Lee knows me pretty good at this point. I'm very black and white. I've heard a million stories of what happened.
Right.
Everybody wants to have an opinion. Everybody wants to know what happened. Everybody's quick to throw stones, but yet they're not in the race car and they're not out there racing. So you just got to look at the facts and realize, hey, unfortunately, it was the perfect storm. The same thing happened to Jason Line a few years back. So just got to put it behind you, get back on as soon as obviously we can, get the car fixed, get me fixed, and move forward, because it's an accident. Yeah. Obviously, we all wish it didn't happen, but it did. But yeah, like you said it perfectly. There's 1,000 stories of what happened.
Yeah. It's really interesting too, because I'm glad you brought that out, because we see those pro stock cars at times when they go through the finish line, you see the front end bobbing up and down at some of these tracks, and you really don't know if you don't drive those things, you don't know that it is capable of doing something like that if that car gets off the ground. So I'm glad you made that point, and really it educates the fans as well.
Actually got off the ground. You can see it in the video that it was bumping.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, Mark John. I'm actually home in New York since the accident. But yeah, no, the back got off the ground, and unfortunately, for example, when you're up on jack stands, it takes a whole lot less to stop than when you're on the ground and have a lot of pressure on the car. So unfortunate, but it happens, and all we can do is fix everything up and get back out there.
Goes to show just how challenging a pro stock car can be to drive, whether it's under power or not, no matter where it's at. They're challenging machines for sure. Now, I want to ask in particular, though, when did you know that you had an issue to yourself personally? Like, oh, I'm actually injured in this incident. When did you realize it?
So after I made contact with the first wall, I instantly, like, my leg instantly started hurting. And then I saw the second wall coming, and I was like, oh God. At that point, after I hit the second wall, I came to a stop shortly after, and I knew at that point, like, okay, I can't get out by myself. So it was pretty instant as soon as I hit that first wall that I knew, okay, something's not right.
What's the healing time?
So I go back tomorrow for my 2-week follow-up to get new scans and everything. And then we're going to make a game plan. Probably going to be in my boot for 6 to 8 weeks and then start physical therapy after that. I am non-weight bearing right now. So unfortunately I've lost a lot of muscle memory and muscle in my left leg. So it's going to take a bit to get back. They originally said 3 months. That could change. That's not a definite. That's not a stamped on letterhead. Like, it could definitely change. And as of now, like, we're planning around that, but a lot is still up in the air, unfortunately.
With going, look, I mean, obviously pro stock cars are tremendously safe race car to the point in which they have evolved to today. Nonetheless, with you going through what you did, is there something already rolling through your mind of, maybe if it had this, I might have had a better outcome in the car?
Well, like you said, if you're meaning kind of like in the car where not to break my leg, unfortunately the cars are as safe as they can really be. Jerry builds an amazing car. My car was absolutely beautiful. The attention to detail was awesome. So I think it's just, unfortunately, when you kind of get thrown around a little bit, they do their job. It could have been way worse. And I walked away like, I bounced around pretty good. Like my head pads did their job. Like my molded seat did its job. So, I mean, we kind of walked away with as little as could be expected, I think.
Just being a race car driver, there is inherent risk, and things are going to happen, and they can happen, and they do happen.
You put it the best way possible. Unfortunately, sometimes it's just not a good day in the race car, and some days it's a really good day in the race car. So, like you said, you just got to take the good with the bad and make the best of every situation given.
So is the new car kind of around your health and when you're able to get back in it?
We do have to get the car fixed. I know that the guys dove deep into figuring out exactly what needed to be fixed when it got back to the shop. So we're still working on a game plan with that and knowing, okay, what exactly do we have to get fixed? What can we save from that car? What can we not save from that car? And when am I going to be ready? We're definitely going to probably have to test a little bit at least before we get back out there, just to get back comfortable and get back in a routine, because it is a decent amount of time off. But honestly, I know that they will do their best to get it ready and make it as safe as possible and make it top tier, because they're good at what they do, and I trust them to do the best they can.
All right, we got to ask. We saw your dad just a few moments ago, and your dad's been through some serious scraps in the pro mod. How did he take it? Okay.
Good. They had to replace my heart. I had a heart transplant while they were doing x-rays on her legs.
No, he was okay. They didn't get me out right away. They wanted to make sure like everything else was okay, but he was down there. Obviously, as you know, Lee, they don't let you to the person right away. But he was, as soon as I got in the ambulance, he was right there. He sat in the hospital. I think we were there for 9.5 hours.
That was a long time.
But
it was tough. It was tough. It was a long golf cart ride down there. And then when I got there, they didn't want to let me to the car, which I understood. I got it, but it was very difficult. And I just asked them to please let Camry know that I was down here. And they did. And the minute that Doc knew that she was okay to be removed from the car and they were getting her into the ambulance, they let me right there with her. They let me get in the ambulance with her. I rode to the hospital with her. But it was tough. I mean, I'm not going to lie. I think I actually got through my accidents a lot easier than I did that one. But once I saw them getting her out of the car and, that it was, her leg hurt and that was really it, that I think honestly, I think the hardest part about all this is reading all the keyboard warriors and their, and you know what I mean. That to me, you know, like I have to walk away from I engaged one day and was so mad at myself for engaging one day, and I wish I hadn't. But it's just, you know, it's difficult reading things that people think they know what they're talking about. Even today, like Camry was reading me something that somebody said, oh, the reason Camry's struggling this year is because KB's given her all their scrap.
We run
really?
engines that we ran by ourselves.
I mean, like our team, honest to God,
hasn't changed.
Our team last year was the exact same car that Camry raced her rookie season. The exact same engines Camry, like we sold our engines to KB and they allowed us to continue running them. You know, Camry to this day has still been running
with the same crew,
the same Titan engines that were the gray engines with the same tune, Mike Smith, the same clutch guy, John Peterson, the same back half guy, Sean. I mean, like our team completely stayed intact, but yet people are out there throwing KB under the bus like Camry's getting the scraps.
I'm like, we have the same stuff that we had, guys.
Yeah, I mean, like the big advantage really to teaming up with KB was just, you know, the having multi cars to be able to share information and that type of stuff. That was really the big reason. I mean, you know, listen, the proof's in the pudding. Camry had a hell of a rookie season with Jim Yates, you know, and running our own program with a one-car team. You know, the biggest reason we really teamed up with KB was because Titan was buying KB, and it just made sense to be part of a team. But, you know, it's just crazy to read some of this stuff that, you know, people, you know, think they know, but they have no idea. It's almost comical. You almost have to laugh at it because if you don't, you're going to get upset about it, you know.
I agree with that. Obviously, Camry, they did not watch the Not Bland show when you explained all of that, first off. Second of all, I'm with Dad. When it happened, my people that I have on the show, they become part of my family. I'm all about relationships. And when I saw that, I was right with Dad. I'm like, somebody give us something. This is taking too long.
Yeah, it's crazy. And honestly, I say this hopefully the best way I can. I was really lucky coming out into Pro Stock 3 years ago. I had a great team behind me that had winning stuff right off the bat. Thankfully, a lot of the pieces fell together how they should have. So I had a really great rookie season. I had a really great season last year with 2 wins. This year, it's definitely like, and one of my guys, Mike, says it best. He's like, it makes you appreciate how not easy, but how good the first 2 years were. And it's absolutely true. I've driven a lot of cars, as Lee knows, a lot of classes, and I've never, thankfully, had an accident up until now. And it truly makes you appreciate who's in your circle, your sponsors that stick by you, the good car, when we run good, and just all of that, so much more.
Yeah, and I'll tell you something real quick too, that people want to, you know, create all this animosity and all this, you know, drama and all that stuff. But I can tell you right now, we were barely to the hospital, still in the ambulance, and Richard Freeman called me to make sure Camry was okay. You know, so like the pro stock community, the racing community, very tight knit, you know,
and great people.
The engines start, you do your burnouts. Yeah. Everybody's ready to claw everybody's eyes out. But, you know, the chutes come out, you get out back, you know, on the return road or whatever. Everybody is concerned for everybody. I don't care who you are or what team you're on. The outpouring of people reaching out to Camry, myself, my father, has just been tremendous. And you know, we're just we're looking forward to Camry getting healed first and foremost. You know, the guys are looking at the car to see if it can just be front halved. You know, there's another car being built right now at Jerry Haas that KB said that if Camry's car is going to take longer than when she heals, they'll send her out to get fitted for that car. So everybody has pulled together. We can't say enough about everybody that has reached out, that has, Dallas won that day and took time out of celebrating his win to bring Camry's rental car to the hospital. I mean, just, it's just amazing. The people that, rally and offer services and anything that they can to help
get back.
Yeah. And, to piggyback on what Camry said too, and I tell her this all the time and she probably gets sick of hearing it, but how many years a lot of pro stock racers went pro stock racing and didn't qualify? Greg Anderson, Erica Enders, these people, that are multi-national event win. I mean, Greg Anderson over 100 wins, Erica 6, world championships, but how much time they put in and effort they put in and didn't qualify for years and years and went team to team until they found somewhere that gelled and worked and got the secret sauce. So, like Camry said, we were very fortunate. Alex Laughlin was getting out at the time. Him and his father were very generous to my father and I, selling their stuff to us. Richard Freeman, sold us the engines that we raced with, so, I tell that to Camry all the time. The first couple of years were pretty good, but it was because of, the people and the resources we had. And, so to go out there and have, a DNQ in Gainesville, it happens. To go out there and have a DNQ in an accident like this, it happens. It's a speed bump. Camry's committed to, making this, her livelihood, her future. She's got a lot of great supporters behind her. Aquaprop, Brandon Foster, Ashley Foster at Aquaprop, Wright Trailers, Big Jeff at Big Jeff Audio, the girls at True Brands, the Galagos family, Vibrant Performance. I mean, VP, Freddie, Terza, and the gang at VP. So thank God for all them. And we're just looking forward to getting back out there. Yeah.
Well, we look forward to see it. And hey, thanks for that great report on everybody rallying and showcasing themselves as the racing community can in a situation such as this. That is good to hear. And well, hopefully with silence, some tapping of keyboards.
I doubt it.
Never.
But
That'll never happen.
Yeah.
Actually,
Right.
Honestly, I find it kind of comical and entertaining because some of the things people come up with are that doesn't even make sense. That's not even logical.
I think Erica said it best one time. I either saw it on one of her interviews or read it. I can't remember what, but when you're doing this, you live in a fishbowl.
Yeah.
It's all right. It happens.
Right. Someone's always got something to say. Well, we're glad you had this platform to say everything that you have, and speedy recovery. And we look forward to seeing you back at the track, qualifying, winning races again.
Thank you very much for having me, and have a great rest of your show, guys.
Thank you, Camry. Good to see you, Mark.
Thank you.
Good to be seen.
Well, that was a good report. Glad to hear
That was.
under the circumstances that progress is being made. And hey, we know now what happened.
Right.
And there's no more need for speculation. So everybody watching, when you see people bring up what happened to Camry, be like, just go watch episode 172 of the Power Hour, and Camry herself explains it from her own perspective in her own words as the driver.
Right. Yeah. She has a good attitude about it too. Something like that can shake you a little bit, and being that she can't get right back in the car, you could have some second guessing going on, but she's very upbeat, very positive, and doesn't seem to be fazed by it at all. Just, it's par for the course. She says, so it's good to see that, because I think back to Brittany Force and her crash, and how that can kind of change how you view things going forward, and she was able to get back in the car and be able to, make that run and get it out of the way. But yeah, she has a great outlook, being that she can't get right back in the car immediately.
Right. And, I'm sure Dad's helping her through. He's been through some serious scraps in Pro Mod and NHRA and other sanctioning bodies as well. And then, look, it's, you wonder, in stock car racing, it's like, oh, that person hasn't flipped yet. Let's see how they act after they flip or have that incident or wreck. And she seems very optimistic and wants to get back in the car, and that is certainly good to hear. And when they do, they'll be as strong as ever. And yeah, we do live in a day and time. I think it's got back to that, even though it's different. We've come to a point where it's not quite the same, but you've got the possibility of some top tier cars not qualifying in pro stock right now.
Yeah,
and that's a reality. I mean, certainly we're not talking about early 2000s period quite the same, but if you miss it and you miss it early trying to catch up, it is hardball out there in the pro stock ranks right now for sure.
Definitely. I mean, you got 22 cars coming up here at ZMAX, and there's going to be a lot of good cars going home.
Right. Certainly. There's going to be a lot of good cars going home for sure. Well, we had Camry go on, and now to come on to the Power Hour, we've got Jeff Taylor. He's a competitor and competition eliminator, a man that has won a lot of Wallies out there, and we'll get his take on competition eliminator right now in the NHRA today, going for a whole lot of money, and talk to him about his hot rod and everything that he has got going on in the sport of NHRA drag racing. And before we go to him, well, from pro stock to competition eliminator, funny cars, wherever, you need the right products for your hot rod to perform at competition levels. And if you are going to perform at those levels, you need competition products.
Competition Products, your source for hardcore engine parts for street, strip, and oval track. Our free catalog is packed with hundreds of product lines from the best-known manufacturers in the performance industry. Lowest prices guaranteed. Free shipping and handling on all orders over $149 in the continental U.S.
Need expert advice? Our knowledgeable staff is just a phone call away.
Competition Products, race parts sold by racers since 1970.
Jeff Taylor, welcome to the Competition Plus Power Hour. Good to have you on, man.
Yeah, it's good to be on. Thanks for inviting me.
Looking forward to chatting with you, and we definitely love to have, we love to talk to those of the Mission Food series for sure, but anytime we can have those from other series come on, especially in the sportsman ranks of the NHRA, definitely, certainly good chats with people such as yourself, racers such as yourself, doing it in a different class from Top Fuel, Funny Car, Pro Stock, and so on. So let's begin there. Why are you in the class you are in drag racing?
Well, first of all, it pays as much to win this category this year as it does to win in Top Fuel or Funny Car to win the championship. So hats off to Roger Brogdon and his group for what they've done to put such a great program together. As you know, there's $750,000 up for grabs, and we want to get out there and do our part to see if we can get our share of it.
What is competition eliminator? I know a lot of people don't really know how that works and how that class works, but could you explain that a little bit to people who don't know?
Well, it's really called complicated eliminator. That's why it's really hard to explain. So you can build these cars, just about anything you can dream of. There's a class, 4 cylinders, 6 cylinders, V8s with blowers, turbochargers, just about anything you can think of. And it's all weight per cubic inch. And you have an index that NHRA decides that is the index that you're going to run off of. So you go to the race, and obviously you qualify off of that index. And then when the race starts, it's a staggered tree like a bracket race or whatever. However, the first car to the finish line wins, obviously if you don't red light. And so you're allowed to go 5/10 under your index. Anything more than that, you adjust your own index for the next round. So say you go 55 under your index, well, next round, your index will be adjusted by 500. So meaning that you will either not get as much or you will give less handicap to the other car in the next round. When you go more than 60 under, then say you go 62 under, or just say you go 63 like I did in the final Sunday. Well, now I will lose that 300ths past the 60. I lose that 300ths permanently, which means my index was 789. When I go into Belrose next week, my index will be 786. So that's what I'll qualify off of. And that's the way they keep the playing field level. So one guy can't go out and just dominate the class, because when you go too fast, you have to pay the penalty.
Certainly, it seems like in competition eliminator, complicated eliminator, as you said, the name of the game is be as fast as possible, yet as consistent as possible with your particular combination out there, because you don't want to be like too fast earlier in the year and then kind of get in the hot period of the season and I've slowed down a good bit and yet I'm running off this particular index. Seems like that's the moving target out there.
That's exactly right. As that happened to us at the end of last year. We got in Las Vegas, you get a index adjustment for the altitude. Well, the air, turned really cool. We had a tailwind, so we could run as fast as we could at sea level. And we did, and we run 77 under. We hit the class itself 700. So anything you go more than 7/10 under, I forgot to explain that, you hit the class, which means if me and you both have a B altered and we both run off of a 760 and I go 75 under, well, the next time we race, me and you will be on a I think I said 750. We'll be on 745. So it hits the class too. And that's what I done last year in Las Vegas, trying to win a round. And so basically that's why we've had to change classes, because that car with me driving it is no longer competitive.
Now, how have you been able to do this for so many years? The level of consistency, as I've kind of researched your story, is just absolutely amazing. And you can really tell the passion you have for this class. How have you been so consistent over all these years?
Well, it's all I think about. I build engines for a living. I grew up in a racing family, so we really don't know anything. We don't do anything else. That's what we do. And like you said, I've been very fortunate to be involved with the right people and be able to win a lot of races. So, it's just been a lot of luck, a lot of hard work. I've had a lot of great sponsors over the years, and that's how it's happened. Plus, I've been doing it for a long time. I actually went down the racetrack driving when I was 13, so I'm 63. So I've been going down the racetrack for 50 years. So if you look at it that way, heck, I probably should have won more. I've been racing so long.
Now, Jeff, what is the combination that you've got at the moment in Competition Eliminator? What I was able to see, I see I believe it's a Cobalt or a Cavalier, one of the two. What are you in currently?
Believe it or not, it's a Dodge Stratus, but it has a Chevrolet LS engine in it.
That's interesting.
It's basically the same engine as the factory stock shootout cars run, with the little Magnuson supercharger on it. And, it won't make the boost like some of the other double B Alters. It's got the big blowers and stuff. They make a lot of boost. And we can't make that much boost, but the LS foundation under it is, is a very good engine. So, but that's what it is. It's, to answer your question, it's 328 cubic inches, and it has the little OEM type Magnuson supercharger on it.
This hot rod?
Yep, that's it right there. That's a 2008 Dodge Stratus. Actually, David raced that car a little bit, 3 or 4 years ago, and unfortunately, he had a brake come apart and blow the front tire out and flipped it over on its top. And Jerry Haas rebuilt it and put a whole new body and everything on it. And we just started running it a little bit at the end of last year and starting to try to figure it out. And as you could see through qualifying this weekend, we're still trying to figure it out. We got down to track 1 out of 4 times in qualifying. And David and I sat down Sunday morning and kind of looked at what was going on, and we made some adjustments, and darn, it went down the track 5 times in a row. It's never done that before.
Now you guys were struggling, and you come into race day and you start turning on that wind light. When did you get that feeling that you had an opportunity to win that thing?
When the wind light come on in the final. This thing is so new and it throws so many curves. So in qualifying, everybody thinks, well, we really didn't know what we were doing, because that's kind of what it looked like from the outside. The first qualifying run, it made a decent run, and I shut it off about 1,200 feet, come back, and I thought I'd look at the ladder and kind of figure out where I wanted to be in qualifying. And which then we come back the next run, and the chiller, you hook a chiller to it, and to cool the engine down. Well, one of the valves on the chiller didn't seal good, so when I turned the water pump on, it blew water on the track and they backed us off. So we lost the second qualifying run. So we're thinking, well, we'll be okay on the third one. Well, on the third qualifying run, the blower belt come off. So that didn't work. Well, then, it rained on Saturday morning, and they got the track dry and gave everybody one more qualifying run on Saturday afternoon, but it never got warm. The track was like 60 degrees, and this thing didn't have a chance. And as soon as I let the button go, it just blew the tires off. So we ended up starting from number 18, had to run number 4 first round. And I was joking with J-Rod before we run, and I told him, I said, now, J-Rod, we've run this thing a lot testing. I said, about every 5 runs, it makes a good run. So there's a chance I might make a run here, But we were just joking and cutting up. But I don't know if he thought I couldn't get down the track or whatever. And he had a late light, and I was able to get down the track and advance. And I took 6th first round, winning. But then, it's just typical competition eliminator. The guy had to run next round. He was clean. Well, he had car trouble on the starting line. Greg Camplain, when he put his car on the floor, it just shut off. So I got through that round clean. Well, now we're in the 3rd round, and other cars are starting to lose index. So so it's just, man, you got to have luck. And when you run this Division 4 bonus program, well, anybody that's got anything fast is going to be there. And all the good drivers, everybody in the class is such good drivers. They all got good equipment, fast equipment. So, and it's like I was talking to Bobby, and he said, nobody's ever won 2 races in the program in one season. And I didn't realize that. So that tells you right there how tough it is to you win one race and then you don't win another one in the next 8 or 9 races that we have. You just go rounds and try to accumulate points. So it's the hardest racing that I've ever done. I once in a while I'll tell people it's pro stock with a breakout, and they're like, "What do you mean?" I was like, "Okay, so if Erica and Greg runs and first round, or they go up first round, not race each other, but say Greg runs 650 and she runs 652, well, next round then Greg's got spotter 200s because he went 200s faster than she did. So it's it's really tough. That's just the best way I know to explain it. And if you don't catch that break where you race somebody 9 times out of 10 in this deal, you're going to run somebody first round that can run more than 5/10 under. So if you have a good race, you're going to lose, 2 to 5, to win first round. And then the guy you got to run second round's clean. His guy red lighted. Well, now can run 60 under. And you might be able to run 65 under, but are you willing to hit your index second round at a race, knowing that, like Lee said, going into the heat and the summertime, you might not be too competitive come August, once you beat that index down. So it's as David Rampy always said, it's not checkers, it's chess that we're playing here. And you've seen him back in the day. He won more than anybody in Comp Eliminator, and many times you've seen David Rampy shut off and give up a race to keep from hitting his index. So, he says, well, there's another race next week, so we got to go try that one. But you can't do it if your index is beat up. So it's complicated. Just like I said at the beginning of the show, it's tough.
It is certainly interesting drag racing. It is comparable to chess. And on this particular pass, what piece am I moving? The knight, the queen, the king, or the pawn, or what am I putting on the board? Look, you've amassed a multitude of wins, NHRA national events, plenty of Wallies. My last question for you tonight, very simply, what does it take to make a good drag racer?
Oh my, you got to be dedicated. First thing you got to do is learn that you're going to lose more than you're going to win. And you can't let that get you down. You got to take everything that you do, you got to learn from it and try to make it better. And you got to have a good group of people. We got, Jim and Annie Whiteley. We got a good sponsor, along with Jegs and multiple other people that help us. You got David Nickens down there. David is you can call the shop on a non-race weekend. I don't care what week it is. If we're not racing, you call that shop at 8 o'clock on Sunday morning, David's there working. So he puts so much effort into this program to make everything perfect. And, I just, it just takes so much dedication and hard work to make it happen. And so many people, at the end of the day, Saturday, we're over here trying to figure out how we're going to get down this racetrack. And, and then you go to the motel and you lay there and you think about it all night. How are we going to get down the racetrack? Because if you blow the tires off on the starting line, it's like I told David Sunday morning, I said, if we go up there and blow the tires off on the starting line, it's over. We got to go down the track. We got to get through low gear. So we obviously made some good choices and it worked for us. And it's just so much dedication and to be able to do it. And I've been very fortunate to win 50 national events and 52 divisional races and 10 division championships and 4 world championships, but all that is behind us. We look forward and we work as if we've never won one. We want to win another one. And, but man, I have been so blessed in racing with the people that I have surrounded myself with. And that's what's made me be able to accomplish what I have, is the people around me.
That's awesome. Well, our last question is, what's the expenses like to run something like this, and how often do you have to replace engine parts?
Our motors have to be rebuilt about every 60 to 75 runs. And it's just like I was talking about the index earlier and how critical that is. We got a car sitting in the shop with engines and transmissions and everything you need to run 2 classes. And, for me to get in that car and go race it, being down so much personal index, it would be a waste of money. So it gets to be very expensive. Lee Sharp and I was talking today, and he was discussing exactly the same thing we're talking about now, is what the amount of money that gets put to the side, because once you beat it up, you got to make a change. So to answer your question, I mean, there's no way you can do it. Once you get everything running, you still need probably, $100,000 a year to race at the level we race at, to keep your stuff fresh, travel and stuff like that. And that don't include none of the people you pay. I mean, you got to think David's got 8 people in that shop working, and some days all 8 of those guys are working on our program. And so it's very expensive to do. It's not pro stock level, but it gets up there pretty good. And if you went to as many races as they did, it'd probably be that expensive. But the good thing is we got to run. Well, we're going to run 10 races for the bonus program, and hopefully we can win enough to pay our way this year.
Go get Roger's money. No.
Yeah, he's done one heck of a great job with this deal. And what Roger's done is really, I think, has saved Competition Eliminator, because as you can see now, Division 1, Division 3, Division 5, a lot of those divisions are getting out now and gathering up money so that people can at least win enough to be able to help pay for it, And so what Roger's done has been huge, and I think there's room for it to just continue to grow. As you know, this year, on top of what Roger's doing, between all of us working with Roger and the Hudsons and everybody, we were able to, get over 30 sponsors that brought in a real nice sum of money. So, it can be done, and it can be done in every class out there. It can be done in stock, super stock. All them classes could do it if somebody would just do what Roger's done and just get out and get it started and get everybody behind it, But man, he's made Competition Eliminator very interesting, especially in Division 4.
Jeff, man, thank you for your time, and keep going out there and earning the Wallies and playing the chess. Competition Eliminator. Keep it up, man.
Okay. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Jeff. Have a good night.
Yeah. Thanks, guys.
I completely agree with Jeff. What Roger Brogdon has done, Roof Tech, and brought so much of a spotlight on that class, a spectacular class in NHRA, where you can just run about anything imaginable as long as it isn't on nitromethane. And you can go out there and compete with your combination. And there are so many cars that are just pushing the edge of, like, this is what I want to run with, and this is what could be done in NHRA drag racing and drag racing in general. And he puts the spotlight on it with, this year, $750,000 on the line, and it's going other places in the fund and things of that nature. And I agree with Jeff. What many other classes need, I think, even when it comes to top alcohol and top alcohol dragster or funny car, you need that champion. And when I mean champion, I don't mean world champion, that you're the champion through points. No, you're the champion as an advocate for these classes, because it can be done. And you know what? Maybe it doesn't start out at the number that Roger Brogdon was able to bring for Competition Eliminator. Maybe it's only 10,000. Maybe it's only 5,000 more per race, but find something somewhere and work that angle and that edge.
I agree. It all it takes is one, right? And it would be. I think a lot of things could be better if you had that advocate to kind of be the front runner for the category and really, put up something. It doesn't have to be what Roger's doing. You know what I mean? You got to start somewhere, right? And I think, especially for the alcohol classes, I think that could really provide the glue needed to really catapult that class to where it should be, as far as being elevated. I think we view it as being prestigious, but it you know what I mean? Getting everyone else to view it in that fashion as well.
Right, and you've got people doing it in different ways. I think of Chris Graves. He's been a champion for funny car racers that don't want to run NHRA, but yet they've got good equipment. Or maybe they're people who they don't want to run the guts out of their combination, but they still want to run a funny car and live that dream out. You've got those people competing in funny car chaos. You've got someone like a Tommy Franklin and giving fast, high competitive bracket racing and heads up racing and door cars predominantly in the PDRA. You've got someone like Duck championing, the radial guys. And again, everybody might not like these forms of drag racing, but for them to be successful and move forward, you've got someone out there out front being an advocate for those groups.
Indeed. And that's important. And I think as more people assume that role, those classes will continue to grow.
Exactly. I agree. And I think the time is right now. And however the sport can gain more exposure, it is definitely needed. So I don't stream much far as content, but over the weekend I was able to stream on Amazon Prime the Fallout series. So I am a gamer when I have time to game, which doesn't happen that often, but I don't take gaming so seriously that I put things on the shelf to do gaming. But when I have an opportunity to do some gaming, I like to do so. And Fallout was a series that I enjoyed, and watching the series, I was like, well, that was good. But then I start diving into like the YouTube algorithm. It pops up with more Fallout stuff, and you have news blurts, more Fallout things, and people are buying the games now again, though there hasn't been like a new one released for many, many years.
Right.
So I think about, wow, you look at what NASCAR did, you look at what F1 did, and the streaming impact and how that flow of a stream on a streaming platform can flow into your fan base and bring new people in. I think more than ever, NHRA drag racing and drag racing in general needs a footprint on those platforms.
Agreed. And then all it takes is consistency, really. Once you consistently do it, the algorithm does what it wants. And it will find those who may not have, once maybe crossed it once, and you get, all it takes is one thing, man, and they're hooked. And I agree with that.
And I'll say this as well. I think the last couple of weeks has proven actually that drag racing brands, they don't need Flow Racing. They don't need Speed Vision. They don't need, you can actually find the partners and set up your own streaming platform via YouTube or your website and have successful streams. There are enough private contractors out there that you can contract out or build your team and stream your events. Funny Car Chaos, I mean, I think it's upward to 85,000 over the weekend that viewed. the Funny Car Chaos Classic, and you have the Spring Fling. That brand of drag racing, they had a successful stream in Las Vegas. Now they're streaming at Galot. So if you're not on Flow, you don't have to be on Flow. You don't need them coming to knock at your door. You can get it done yourself. Find those partners. Be that champion for your segment of drag racing. And like, the PDRA, why they don't have their own YouTube channel, I don't understand. I understand. I have covered PDRA and put PDRA content on my channel. Kyle Chris with Straight Line Media does a phenomenal job, and the racing vids, phenomenal job. You've got others out there doing video, not to mention some of the best photographers in drag racing really do follow the PDRA. Nonetheless, why the PDRA doesn't have its own YouTube channel, I don't understand.
Yeah,
I think it would kill.
Yeah, as big as they are, there's no reason why you couldn't. And you really don't. Think about it. Before we ever had anything like a Flow, that's what they were doing anyway. The quality wasn't as great back in the day, but they were streaming on either on their own websites or however. So now that you have more places where you can stream, why not? It's easy.
It is, and I think you also invite as many people in. Something the PDRA is good about. If you're Lee Craft with Monday Morning Racer, or if you're Kyle Chris with Straight Line Media, or if you're Scott Susie with the Limo Guy at Large, and many others, come in, cover it. We want all the exposure we can get while it's also being streamed. But then you also got someone like Jay Warren in NC Pro Modder, and he's out there, he's streaming, he's commentating from the line. It's typically at this point right now, though I know he wants to improve it, a one camera angle from the line. Nonetheless, though, he does get views. People do consume his content. And I think instead of shutting people out, invite as many in and let people consume however they want to. If they want to consume on Flow and have 4 to 5 other multiple angles, so be it. Let them buy the subscription. But if they want to consume through like Jay with one camera angle and his content, let him be there too, and let people consume the way in which they want to consume the content.
Jack Corpella does it all the time. He's like the king of being on his phone and being at the line and showing one angle. But you know what? A lot of people get hooked on, bike racing that they would have never likely ever come across if they weren't, subscribed to his channel. I didn't know anything about bagger racing until I saw Jack stream, and I'm like, oh, they actually do that. It's interesting stuff. And I agree. I think the more the merrier, because now you're reaching, a demographic that maybe you likely wouldn't reach with Flow or whatever your respective place you use. I think it helps out, helps the sport, and it helps out everyone. You know what I mean? And why not? It's you want to grow, you got to start thinking outside of the box.
You do. More the merrier. And look, I've had conversations as much as I don't want to when it comes to video editing. Right now, it's not so much the standard format like we are viewing in this very moment with this live show. It's reels. It's that vertical video. I just put a reel out earlier today of some street stock action that I covered at Anderson Motor Speedway. The big video, if you will, of the whole entire race on YouTube is like locked into the algorithm. It's only got a couple of hundred views compared to what my channel can typically get at times, especially if it's drag racing content. But the reel has got 17,000 views. Just that's how people are consuming things.
Yeah, I'm trying to get better at that. But yeah, that's where it's at. You can create these reels and they do better than the actual show. So, yeah, I think it's just all about trying to maximize what we're given. And, everybody, consumes things differently, and you got to just find ways to tap into that.
Yes, you got to have your if at now, traditional content, if you will, but then you've got to have the short form vertical content, and it's like squeezing an orange and getting all the juice out of it and enjoying that orange juice because you've got that fruit of content. You just got to squeeze and get it all from an event and from a video from your uh, race as we're talking in this uh, show. So from having subscription based streaming to having free streaming to having tape delayed videos, if you will, this more the merrier.
Yep.
Cover it. Get it out there.
Yep. I agree. Got to do it.
You do. You do. So this weekend, obviously, we've got drag racing happening. Top of the card, I would believe many would be saying, is 4-wide drag racing, ZMAX Dragway there in Concord, North Carolina for the NHRA Mission Foods Series. What are some of your takes going into ZMAX? You had a good conversation with Brian Loans earlier today. What are y'all looking at for the event this weekend?
Well, didn't get Brian. He had an emergency. I didn't find out till after the show, but it was a family emergency. So we're going to get him on in May. But I did conversate about this 4-wide. And what I find interesting is here it is. We've had a lot of action, a lot of winners within the first quarter of this regular season. And we're coming into the first race of the second quarter of the regular season. What's really going to stand out to me, and I'm going to put it on Pro Stock Motorcycle. They came out in Gainesville, unable to test. Gage ran away with it. I think what people don't take in consideration is the fact of how many new bikes were out there. Matt Smith's got 4 new ones. Outside of Gage, Richard, Kelly, Ellie, new bikes. So without that testing, they were unable to really show what they could do. They were kind of just trying to throw darts and hopefully you hit the bullseye. Gage was running, coming in and doing what he was doing, coming out of a championship run, super easy to do that, I think it's going to be very interesting here. I think we're going to see a little bit better performance. I'm interested to see how the Smiths come out and do. I want to see how Steve Johnson comes out. Chris Bostic, he's had some runs where he's been quite consistent and competitive. It didn't look that way in Gainesville, but again, none of these people had an opportunity to really test. So I'm hoping through 4 qualifying sessions, you got that 4-wide to add that element. There's a little bit of, scuttlebutt about, who's withholding what. And I just think it's fun. It's fun because both are not allowing one or the other to have said part. So it's not one-sided here. Both are doing the same. And that's going to add an element of extra competitiveness. I know people like Kelly Klontz is looking to really come back out and show that they can put that 670 back on the board. Again, new bike after that, her incident. So they're trying to dial that in, but the performance is there for a lot of these bikes, and it's going to be fun to see who gets dialed in quicker. In these 4 sessions coming into the 4-wide. When I look at Pro Stock, 22 cars on the premises, and we're talking about not just the top ladies and men being competitive, but you got people like Jerry Tucker, Brandon Foster, who, had every chance to really win if he doesn't red light. He's definitely has his name in there. There's so many cars that are not the big names that are running right along with the Erica Enders, the Jed Coughlins, the Troy Coughlins. They're right there. this 4-wide adds a whole nother element. And I feel like with the 4-wide, you have an opportunity to catapult yourself into this meat and potatoes of the regular season if you can do well. The Quadra Boys. I'm really interested to see where these folks qualify, and somebody's going home. If you didn't know, Dave Connolly is also going to be out here with this 4-wide race. We all know what he can do. We'll see what type of equipment he has and how the car can perform, but we know what he can do on the starting line and as a drag racer. It's going to be fun. And then, man, you talk about the pro classes. The stat that Dave W. had on my show last week. 18 opportunities to win, including the Mission Foods, and we've had 14 different winners, and we're only out of the first quarter of this regular season. This has been tremendous so far, and it only gets better from here. I mean, it's going to be, although the whole point system doesn't really matter because of this participation trophy spots, but it's still going to be compelling stuff because you don't know who's going to win. And I think it's a toss up again of who's going to win in those nitro classes as well.
For sure. No, when it comes to competitiveness, I don't think we are in any better time of NHRA drag racing.
Yeah.
Of people rolling on the property and the potential of cars winning, that number of potential cars winning, it is the highest I think we've ever had it be. Now, look, you could argue that we don't have the greatest of personalities as we have had in the past. Maybe the paint schemes aren't as great as they used to be. Maybe the names of the cars aren't what they were because we got corporate sponsors. You can argue a lot of those things. Maybe the show is not, in fact, as great as it could be. I would even argue that in some points. Like there's some elements I think we could add back in and make it even better. Yes. But far as when those clocks get tripped and when lights come on or remain unflamed, yes, we have got the best competitive drag racing that I think we've ever seen in the professional categories.
It's a testament to the crew chiefs that are on the property. It's also a testament to the assistant crew chiefs that are coming up through the ranks as well. When you got people like, I think Johnny Lindbergh is underestimated and underrated as a crew chief. Now, granted, he does have one of the best minds in the sport and John Medlin's help, but that's what it takes to refine who you are as a tuner. But when you got Paul Lee, when you got Terry Haddock, when you got Jason Rupert, these guys are making passes. They're clean. They're sticking with the top competition and giving them and putting pressure on them to be perfect when they come to the line. There's nothing better, and there's no better time, I don't think, than we have right now. You can look back through all the history, all the feel-good stories, but I don't think there's ever been a time where you had Miss June come up and have my man Shoemake making clean passes on a debut. How many times have you seen that in history? A owner new whole program new, and usually they come out and they make 4 burnout hits or tire shake hits and don't qualify.
Yeah.
My man was competitive.
Yeah, Sean Reed. Look, brand new program. I mean, obviously,
yes.
A seasoned driver, but getting back into it, but got the people that he needed with that hot rod, and they have a new team and go out there and they are in already competitive mode. You have the Doug Foleys, the TJ Zizzos.
Yes.
They don't run all the time, but yet when they show up, they are a threat. And especially in a 4-wide scenario, Doug, just about, I know, my time knowing Doug Foley, just about every time he shows up to the 4-wide, he gets at least a round win. Yeah. And that throws a wrench in to things. So It is so competitive right now. It is so competitive.
It is.
And it is certainly good to see as fans of the sport and in the media to be able to cover it. And so much is going on that is good for the sport. I think Alex Laughlin unveiling a beautiful Corvette, going
Oof.
no prep Kings drag racing, but he is still in the NHRA with a very hot and upcoming class in Factory X, and you've got a similar type of feel, door cars, and they look like cars. And I think him being there and yet still in the NHRA, if they are played right, that should mesh really well.
Indeed. He's double booked this weekend, so he won't be able to race in the Pro Mod series, but he will be there for the 4-wide. I don't think he gets enough credit as a door car driver. I mean, if I'm starting a program, he's the guy I want behind the wheel. Like, he is a wheel man.
When Jeff Turk was, he had his incident, he's not able to drive. Alex Laughlin gets in the car, and then for the rest of the year, it is Johnson, right? Alan Johnson, yes.
Yes.
And but Alex is back in it this year, and then you also have, the Carusos when they needed someone to get in the Pro Mod. He gets in the Pro Mod. They go out there and they win the World Door Slammer Nationals, the first one down there at Orlando. And he didn't win a championship in Pro Stock, but just about every big race he did. I mean, he won the biggest U.S. Nationals. He won another crown jewel in the Gator Nationals. He can get it done.
Yeah.
The people who like to argue that, Alex has never done anything in the sport, they're dead wrong.
Yeah.
I get it. His time in fuel wasn't spectacular, but he did get round wins, and he got round wins at times that were critical. I mean, go ask Ron Capps if they were critical rounds or not. Okay.
Yes.
So, yeah. And you have an individual, I will give it to Alex. He figures out some way to stay racing.
Yeah.
That is absolutely spectacular. And far as an individual with motorsports capability, I'm not sure there's anyone out there that's quite as diverse in the portfolio as an Alex Laughlin. I know people would argue like Kyle Larson. Well, okay, I get that. Kyle Larson is quite diverse, but it's all roundy round, if I may.
Right.
Put it that way. And with as much respect as possible, I enjoy that type of racing myself. But when you look at Alex, you're talking about karting, like at Daytona, and you're talking about tractor pulling, and you're talking about no prep drag racing, and top fuel, and alcohol, and pro stock, and pro mod, and you just can go on and on and on and on and on. Even some off-roading and the side-by-side things that he was doing. I mean, he'll just race anything.
Yep. Yeah, he's a wheel man, period.
Yeah.
Like he can do pretty much anything. And I think you're right. He is one of the most diverse, if not the most diverse driver that's out there right now.
Like, honestly, only one I can think of, like, the diversity level would be up there like a Travis Pastrana.
Yeah.
I mean, Travis is just seems like he's driven everything. If he ever makes a full pull in a top fuel dragster, ever gets back in and makes a full pull and earns his license, I think honestly he has driven everything except maybe flying something. But he's done boats, like he's done the off-road, done the big water boat stuff as well. I mean, it's insane, his career and the diversity in it. Nonetheless, I think there is some good crossover opportunity with Alex in the Factory X car and in the No Prep Kings hot rod for drag racing that can be good for both brands. Blake wants us to give our picks for winners at the Charlotte 4-wide. 4-wides can produce some interesting matchups. Charlotte, as I recall, really hasn't given us that many shakeups recently.
No.
It has played in the favor of the big boys, if you will, and the full-time teams.
It has.
I don't know. like Coletta. You know, I saw a quote said they were hungry. They want to sweep the four wides. I like Doug Coletta in Top Fuel. Funny car. I think Ron Capps needs to turn some things around right now. And I like Ron. I will go with, you know what? Just down the street, there's Hendrick Motorsports and Hendrick dealerships. I'm going to go Greg Anderson in Concord, North Carolina, and Matt Smith in home turf territory to shocks all, and Nabs and steals one from Gage Herrera.
So, yeah, I'm going Matt Smith and Pro Stock Motorcycle. I'm going to go with Jerry Tucker and Pro Stock. I think he was on, and I think he would like to have that one back, and he's going to get it back here at ZMAX. And funny car, I'm gonna have to go back with BT3. I think the car is running quite well. I think if the weather conditions are good, I think they're going to show that they've got this thing under control. It's going to be another close one though. And in Top Fuel, I'm taking Clay Milliken. That car, since I spoke to Jimmo, he came out when they came out to Vegas, before Vegas, he said that they figured it out. They showed they figured it out. I think they'll get it done here on this end, right here at the Charlotte 4Y.
All right. I have to agree with Dave W. He says Josh Hart is due for a win. I think he's overdue. They have been working on that program. We do not expect that program to be where it is at right now, though they've had a more positive start to their year this year compared to last, and how that year went. Nonetheless, it's not the year, not the performance Josh Hart and that team wants. So they are chomping at the bit. They want to string some good performances together.
I think Sean Reed also is a win waiting to happen. The car is just absolutely consistent. Whatever they tell it to do, it does. And they've been able to make very consistent, clean passes. And this is the turf to be able to kind of sneak up there and snatch a win out.
Hey, I wonder what it's like right now to be Jasmine Salinas. You are about to go to ZMAX Dragway. And I know weather conditions may not line up just right, but the last time that team was there, 300 miles per hour to the 8th.
Yeah.
She's going to get to wheel that hot rod.
Yeah.
That's exciting.
I think they're going to give it a little bit more now. I think they're creeping up on it. They're allowing her to, continue to get a feel for the car. They did put together some really nice runs in Vegas. This could be the weekend that they unleash the fury, so to speak.
I like it. A lot of great storylines going into ZMAX with all the classes that are there, from Factory X and Pro Stock Motorcycle is returning to the other professional classes. You've got alcohol on the scene going forward again. You'll kind of get the East Coast rendition, if you will. Granted, from what I understand, the Gordons will be in competition all the way from Northern California at ZMAX to compete. Very well could be an opportunity for Maddie Gordon to get her first national event win ever. We know that will come, I'm certain, this year. Don't know when. Might very well be at ZMAX Dragway this weekend. Do want to give a shout out to the winners, some of the winners at the PDRA this past weekend at Virginia Motorsports Park. In Pro Nitrous, Jim Halsey gets the win. Spencer Hyde wins his first PDRA event in Pro Boost. And then Johnny Placino gets it done for John Causey Engines and his Mustang and Extreme Pro Stock in the Professional Drag Racers Association at Virginia Motorsports Park.
That's awesome. Lots of cool drag racing going on. I know Drag Racing Mayhem was at MPK this past weekend at Maple Grove. Yeah, that looked like a blast. So there's so much good stuff going on.
So much good stuff. So much good stuff. And drag racing is just fine.
It's quite healthy.
Quite healthy. Quite healthy. I mean, Rockingham Dragway has had good events here in the past. Duck's been out there already promoting the events coming up there. You've got Spring Fling bracket racing at Galat right now going on. I mean, look, North Carolina is a hotbed right now.
Yes.
I mean, my goodness, there's a lot going on, and has been a lot come through and roll through, and is still going to be there. So, you could have like landed back and enjoyed Southeast Gassers Association drag racing in Shady Side Dragway just outside of Shelby, North Carolina, and don't leave North Carolina for like a month and a half, and you could just have great just drag racing. Not to mention the other motorsports elements that you could take in as well, but a lot of great drag racing happening for sure. So, congratulations to those who won at Funny Car Chaos down at State Capitol Raceway, just outside of Baton Rouge. In the A field, it was Kirk Williams for Williams Brothers Racing, and Chris Schneider brings the Brutus Nostalgia Funny Car to the winner circle in the B field in Funny Car Chaos.
Yeah, so what's the next biggest thing coming up? Well, I know there's a couple of them, but if there was a must-see, what would it be?
A must-see event coming up. That's what you're asking?
Yeah.
Whew, must-see. Well, one on my radar, obviously Southeast Gassers Association. If you have not seen a Sega race, you need to see it. And their next one is May 3rd and 4th there at Xenia, Ohio, Killcare Dragway. But on my radar, one event that stands out as one of the best drag races I've honestly ever been to, and it's not just because it's chaos and I'm there and Chris pays me to be there when I'm there. It's Chaos in the Cornfield. Eddyville, Iowa, Funny Car Chaos, Nitro Chaos, in the setting of the middle of the country, surrounded by cornfields, picturesque location, and Gerald Kramer and his team there at Eddyville Raceway Park, and just that facility and the history and the challenges and the homeliness of it, but yet the good runs that are produced there and the stellar surface that it honestly really is and can be. And then you throw in, like last year, we had warm-up chaos where from one end of the pits all the way to the other of like 50, 60 plus teams would fire up one at a time and warm up, and you're getting methanol fumes and nitromethane fumes and whack here and whack there, and it's just a mob taking in each and every warm-up.
That's awesome.
And it was spectacular.
That's
it
awesome.
Was
that
so
sounds
good.
Awesome.
So like NHRA needs to take that out of Chris's playbook and have warm-up session and like get all the teams and like you just go warm up after warm up after warm up. I'm telling you, it is a smash hit. You'll have someone needing medical attention, I'm sure, because they've taken in too much fumes. Nonetheless, it is a hit.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. I would love to do that. That sounds amazing.
Yeah, Chaos in the Cornfield, Sega. Oh, by the way, if Sega's too far for you, but you're in the Indy area, remember May 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Cletus and Cars. That's what
right.
Taking place in Indianapolis Raceway Park. They're going to have the alcohol cars on scene for you to take in. So go and enjoy that and experience car culture in a wider spectrum as well, not just NHRA drag racing. So that's another event that I think is one not to miss. We're not too far out from Bristol. If you've never been to Bristol, last year for the first time, what a great facility. Honestly, my favorite Bruton Smith build, if you will. Even more
Really?
than ZMAX, even more than Las Vegas, Bristol is just neat. The way
Yeah.
it is situated in that mountain and the sounds and the beauty of that area of Tennessee, and then you get the rip and roar of belching nitromethane drag cars. It is a sight to behold. I thoroughly enjoy the time at Bristol. Hey, they're all worth seeing.
Yeah.
I'm curious, though,
Bristol
what's
is
on your
fun.
list? What's on the calendar for you out there?
I don't know, man. I haven't really, I'll be honest, I haven't really paid attention to what's on the schedule here because I've been consuming this and I'm still trying to work my stuff for the draft. There's NBA finals. So I hadn't really looked at the calendar to see what's going on up the road. That's sad, right?
Well, my head is in the calendar all the time because I'm like, what can I pick up? Where can I go? Where am I going? And like I've already decided, I'll be at Southeast Gassers Association for Ohio. I'll be there, and then
do they come back south?
Oh yes, they come back south. Yes, they come back south. Their race after the one in Ohio is Knoxville, Tennessee, and then they're back at Mooresville Dragway, and they got an event in Union, South Carolina. So
how far south do they come?
The farthest south they will go this year will be Gulfport, Mississippi. So that's their farthest west and their farthest south.
Yeah.
For you, in relation to Valdosta, the farthest south that they would have come is really Brainerd up there above Atlanta, just almost into Tennessee.
Yeah.
So heck, for all I know, Gulfport, Mississippi might be just about the same as going up above Atlanta for you. So
yeah, it might be a little bit further though.
Might be.
Yeah.
I would look at the race at Union, South Carolina. You know, that might not be as far, but just hey, Shady Side. I'm telling you, Southeast Gassers Association, Shady Side. Shady Side. It's the place. It just fits. It's good, man. It's good.
Yeah, it looked like a lot of fun.
Spectacular.
They say, wonder what an NHRA draft would look like. Man, that is something. That is something. I would want to know what that looks like too. Kind of like, you could kind of do it WWE style, maybe. That would be interesting. Of a NHRA draft.
It would be. I think that's something for Elon with drag racing bracket bonanza. The next level, the next side of that is not just brackets, but you're getting a point system based off who you have picked as drivers.
Yeah,
which is often how it works with like NASCAR fantasy. So like my first draft round pick, it'd be Justin Ashley. Like that cat's going to consistently get you round wins.
Yep.
And then it would be interesting if it like you drafted particular crew chiefs.
Oh man. Yeah.
So you had a crew chief side and you had a driver side.
Yeah. That would be something.
That would be interesting.
That would be very interesting.
It would be.
But yeah, that's a good one. That's
all right, Elon, get to work on that.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you say?
Bill says, check out the CEBF fantasy. Check it out.
I will.
Check it out. How are my Atlanta Hawks doing this year? Have they done anything?
No.
Okay.
They are not. They are not in the playoffs.
Man.
But I wish my Lakers were not in the playoffs too, with the way you blow a 20-point lead and you lose by a buzzer beater by 1 point.
Wow.
I did not stay up for that, though. If I had stayed up to watch that, I'd be very angry.
That's like rolling up to the line and not being able to fire.
Exactly.
Man.
Exactly.
Man.
Ugh.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, look, it's been a good show here on the Competition Plus Power Hour. Mr. Dujanay Bland over there. I'm Lee Kraft, a.k.a. the Monday Morning Racer, and we thank you for watching here on CompetitionPlus.com. Wherever you've been watching, from Facebook, YouTube, X. Hit that little heart or like, repost, and share. Dive into the comment section, and we'll be back next Tuesday. To each and every one of you, good night.
Good night.
Reliability to drive thousands of miles. Confidence for those who fly high. Redline oil products give you the power to crush the competition. And a track record of being the best. Redline oil products. You push it to the limit, we'll protect it.